My guest today is Amanda Aguirre in Kirkland, Washington. She's a luxury realtor, former tech consultant, and a community leader who hit six figures in real estate while working part-time. She's been with eXp and the Wolfpack since day one of her career, and what started as a following, her mentor became one of the best decisions she ever made. Now, Amanda's a full-time real estate agent, growing her team, coaching agents, and helping clients achieve their goals through consistency, systems, and service. Amanda, I'm so excited to have you and hear what you have to say. I love what you do, so thanks for being here.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Meg. I'm so excited to be here today. Hopefully, anything that I get to share get to inspire and, not only inspire, but to, that you guys can take a little nugget and apply to your business today because we are here, wanting to grow.
Absolutely. Yes. And I think that that's, it's important for people to know that because that's what we do here, right? Our community is everything. So, but to get started, I want to talk about your background in tech because it is very unique. How did you experience, or how did your experience in that world shape how you approach real estate today?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it definitely helped me a lot, especially in the beginning, because I know it can be so overwhelming, right? When you come into the industry, everything was very new for me about real estate. I was not someone that always thought about being real estate or was reading about it or studying about it or looking into the market, even though I already had gone through the process of buying my own, place. But it was just not a topic that was top of mind. I was very involved in the tech industry, love networking events, and, going to conferences and, just increasing my skill set. And I'm a social butterfly. So, all the events, everything that was not related to work, I love that too. But thankfully, I was in the tech industry for the last 13 years as I was transitioning into real estate part-time. And I was already a manager for many years. And I already had been, helping the people in my team to know what they needed to do, to hold them accountable. And then I also had clients that I needed to ensure, my programs and my projects were, under control and, reporting and all of that stuff. So now shifting that into real estate, I think one of the things that helped me in the beginning was branding, even though I was not in the marketing side of things, but I did understand as far as, how you brand yourself, your product, your service was really important. So from day one, that was something that was important to me into real estate, especially as a new agent. I wanted to come out kind of like knowing a little bit who I was, even though I was still figuring it out, but I knew a few things. I knew I wanted to be known as a luxury agent, even from the beginning, even not having sold anything. Which we can talk more about that in detail. So I knew I wanted to position myself, that way. And I also knew that, being new agent, at least that was my perspective. I needed to be louder. I needed to, to show up a little bit more than maybe someone that already have 10 years of experience. So social media was also something that I started from day one. Not that I knew exactly what I needed to do. Even though I was in the tech industry, I was not necessarily dealing with social media per se, but I just knew the importance of it because it was my brand. It was, showcasing what I was doing. So I am the product, right? I am the service. I just needed to push that forward. And I think the organization, like I was very organized in my job, I think that was something that kind of helped me, how I reported things and just kind of trying to keep everything together. It still was drinking from the fire hose in the beginning with all the trainings, all the new concepts about real estate and kind of putting all of that together, as well having, a full-time, as well being married and have a family. So it was not beautifully and perfectly, but, I just knew that I needed to kind of treat my business, my real estate business, almost as a full-time, even though I was, didn't have like the full hours to it, but every single moment that I had outside of my full-time job, it was dedicated to real estate. And I think the last thing, I love coaching. I love mentoring people. So that was like something that I, even at an early, time with real estate, not having many years of experience, I was able to help a lot of agents with some basic things like putting a business plan together, how to get started, because I kind of had that, already in me because of like all my many years of experience of putting projects together. So I kind of treat everything as a project. Just
Yeah.
that kind of helped me a little bit visualize what I needed to do.
Awesome. Yeah, that's so amazing. And you've done such a great job, and you've built a six-figure business while working part-time, which is also incredible. So, what did your schedule, your systems, or your habits look like back then that helped you perform at that level?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, my first few clients, so it was kind of crazy how everything happened fast, but I also have to say, like, I was fully on, right? Fully dedicated to this, working like my first couple of months, I worked 7 days a week. I kind of still do, but the capacity was like insane, right? So the three things that I did in the beginning was, as I kind of shared, social media. So I started doing that from day one. I was already posting 4 to 5 times a week. I was editing everything. I didn't have all the helps that I have today. So I was figuring all that out as I went. And then, I started doing open houses. I didn't have any clients, so I had to be in front of people. And I never really liked cold calling or calling people on the phone. That felt for me like the highest type of sales job, and
Yep.
it was just not for me. Still is not for me. I've tried, and it's maybe someday will change, but it's still not for me. And and then the last thing, it was my sphere. And this one, I have to say, maybe you're watching there and you're like, were like me. I was a little bit afraid of like reaching out to my sphere because I didn't want to sound salesy. I didn't want to sound like, oh, she just wants my business now. But I understood that, I had to put my fears a little bit on the side, and at least I needed to make sure everybody knew what I was doing.
Right.
So it did take me, maybe over a month, but it was like I created a very simple, this was no chat GPT at the time or anything like that. I just created a little blurb of just introducing myself and saying that I was excited to be in real estate. And if they ever had any real estate needs, or they know a family member or a friend, that I would love to help them. And then I had like all my links. Hey, let's stay connected, Instagram and YouTube and all of those things. And I just copy and paste. And every day I would try to at least send, to 10 people or 20 people. It just depends what my time was. But I was just copy and pasting, going A through Z on my phone book. And I have to say, probably like at least 50% of my list, I had no idea how I met those people or how I got their numbers, So it was like, I was just shooting everywhere, being loud on social media, and then also sending to my sphere. And my very first lead, it came from a Facebook post that I did 1 month in the business.
That's amazing. I love it. We learn a lot about, posting and social media. So I love that you have implemented that from day one. And you've been with eXp and Wolfpack since day one.
Mm-hmm.
So what has made you stay, and what have you learned being surrounded by this kind of mentorship and collaboration?
Absolutely. Kind of as I shared, like I was very active in my other industry. So those things about like being an environment of growth, of, community, it always has been important to me. Like I picked the companies that I work for specifically on those values. And, so as you share, being with eXp and the Wolfpack from day one, and I have to say within a month, I was, I felt like I have met my tribe. Joining all the masterminds, it has always been a non-negotiable for me. Like, unless I'm sick, and even if I'm sick, I can get into the call. But mostly if it's just I'm out of the country in a crazy time zone, there'll be only the only reason I would be missing a call. But that was really the way that I think it helped me get energized by the community, even though we're talking on a Zoom call with people from all over the country, all over the world, and not that physical touch, but the energy on the calls, it was like incredible. Everybody, every week, all the different calls that we have, sharing their wins. I never felt like, oh man, I'm not closing a deal, and I keep hearing someone else is closing a deal. They have 5 closing a week. For me, it was inspiring. Like, I can't wait that can be me, like, because
Yeah.
if they're sharing that on the calls, I'm going to learn for the best. And I think that was one of the things that was the biggest highlight was every week someone else is coming to the calls, sharing exactly the blueprint, the steps, this is what I do for me to be where I'm at. Obviously, we all have, maybe they're in the business recently, maybe in the business for a long time, but you can get something from those calls and implement accordingly to you, to your business, to your style. So I just felt like I was learning like exponentially. And, it got me also like, some of our Monday calls for me, that is a totally like mindset call. I started reading more books, about improvement, about personal growth. So I felt like I was growing as a person and as a business owner, even more so than just about real estate. And that for me, it's just so important. So I was just like, drinking and eating from the Kool-Aid, like absolutely from day one. And I think that's something that, it kept me wanting to be more involved and more involved to obviously, 3.5 years later. Even when sometimes I get calls from other random agencies, like, oh, you're doing great. Do you want to talk to us? I laugh like, like I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I'm
if you want to
saying.
talk to me about you joining my group, absolutely. But let's not even, like you don't even need to tell me their spill. Like I cut them and I said, like, I'm not going anywhere. My plans in here, it's long term. I built amazing friendships, sisterhoods, like with people in here that, it took me maybe sometimes a whole year to see them in person
Right.
until we had a conference or
Right.
something of the sort. But it's just like it is family. Like I don't say this to fluff or anything like that. It is family. I have so many people that are fully invested to help my business and they get zero for it, but just because they want to see me growing and I want to do the same. So like it's been life changing for me.
Yeah, I agree. Same for me. And so, talking about your social media and your presence on social media, open houses, and your sphere, which of those channels has been the most powerful for you? And what is your best tip for any agent trying to do one of the same?
Yeah, no, as I coach new agents that comes in my group, I always tell them like, pick two things or three, but I always encourage that one of them is the social media always, because I feel like you will build up with time, even
Yes.
though I was able personally to get results quickly, but social media, it does take time, right? I feel like, my business has been about like 30% on those three areas. And I have tried a few other things, but always doing those three things. And to be quite honest, that's been my base for the last 3.5 years. I do a lot more in each of those areas. Like today with my social media, I do have virtual assistants that help me because from where I was supposed to, 4 to 5 times a week. Now I post 2 to 3 times a day. So, I cannot do that all myself, without help. So we're always strategizing how we can, message. And the other thing is like, especially about social media, people, either for good or bad, either to cheer you on or to try to tear you down, they're all watching, right? So for me, I'm like, watch all you want. I
Yeah.
don't care. Like I used to care. And I feel like with real estate, you get a little tougher skin. I used to be more sentimental when someone would say something about my page to me, like, oh, you're on my feed all the time. I'm like, great. It means it's working. That's exactly the point. And if you don't like it, you can unfollow me because the choice is yours. But, so I laugh about it, but I'm not offended about it anymore, but I used to because I'm like, I put in so much work, so stick to social media, even if you cannot do what I'm doing right now, because my story is not your story, but the consistency, even if it's 3 times a week, but you're consistent on the days of it, on the times of it, because it's like, as I say, people are watching if you're going to continue to show up week after week after week. And think about it that you're educating your sphere, right? Whoever is watching, you might get like followers that don't know you, and you might get people that knows you. So that's that mix, but treat them as like whatever you're saying might be new for them today. That's kind of like a little bit when I'm looking for, content and ideas of what to post, and just keeping, obviously, I'm focusing a lot on Instagram. That's where I get a lot of my conversations started. So it's short videos, direct to the point, just to spark hopefully a conversation. Open houses, why I love open houses, because I feel like it gives you opportunities in many ways. One, obviously, I am very specific about my open houses. Again, even if you want to break into luxury and you're not feeling like I'm not a luxury agent, I always only did my open houses in the areas that I want to grow, to be known. I only do open houses that is over $1 million. Even when I was from the beginning, I knew that I needed to be specific, not doing an open houses in this area and then an open house in, I don't know, 45 minutes from my house. Have I done some of that in the beginning? I did. But the moment I realized, like, what am I doing? I'm wasting an hour in my car for an open house to an area
Right.
that I kind of know. But these areas, I can speak with my eyes closed, right? So you're
Right.
going to speak from the heart, pretty much, right? I can say, I went to school over there. There's this restaurant over here. So think about those things. And if it's an area that you want to grow and you don't know that area that much, so you're going to have to spend some time there. Start maybe going to those coffee shops once a week so that you can get familiar with it, so that you can speak more than feeling like you're in a script. So my open houses is great for, again, I'm specific. It needs to be staged. It needs to be over $1 million. And it needs to be I have like 3-4 towns that I want to be, that I always try. And one of them is like, it's closer to my house. That's always the one that I start first. And the more open houses you do, the more you're going to be recognizing with some of the older listing agents. And some days they're the one that is calling me to ask if I can host an open house for them. And
Right.
99% of my open houses are non-eXp agents. I just go on my MLS, I search for the homes that I want, and I pick up the phone and I call until they say yes. So it's like, don't be afraid that obviously check with your brokerage. Each brokerage might have a different rule and whatnot, but I call and they say, oh, my brokerage doesn't allow it. Great. I'll call the next person. So, I make it easy, quick, or I text. Sometimes if I don't have a lot of time, the same little text, I text them, I put the MLS number so I know if they reply to me which house it is. And
Right.
I do that. And when I have that open house, I'm posting the open house on my social. I am doing videos of that open house while I'm there. I go at least 30 minutes early. And so that's my other option for content, so I'm killing two birds with one stone. I'm doing the open houses, but then I'm also creating content. And if the open house is dead, I am doing even more content, like I'm fluffing the pillows and recording myself. I'm going up and down the stairs, because this all can turn into future B-roll. So I just kind of like save short little clips that you can reuse for many, many, many times with different topics.
Yeah.
In my sphere, I just try to stay out there, these days. Not to everybody. I have like 100 people that I'm trying to always be kind of top and front mind of them. So they get a letter from me with a little flyer every single month. And this is something I only added like maybe 5 months ago. So it's just like information about the market, or things, just general things for them to get ready for the season. So they get that. And then, I do try to be hosting ladies happy hours, which was something I did it as a way of me to stay in touch with my friends, because I was not seeing people. And then it turned out to be like, I've been doing that for over 1.5 years. And every month they're like, where are we going next? And, and it has grown into, I got business from it. They are bringing their friends. I'm actually, just yesterday, I was talking to a lady that I met in a happy hour on December of last year, who became a friend with our group. And now her and her husband are going to start, looking to buy, and I'm going to help them. So I started as more of a feeler for me not to be too far from my sphere, but then also that is bringing me business.
That's amazing. I love that. I love the happy hour aspect too, because I'm also like you. Like, I like to socialize. I like to network. I like to go out. So I think that's a great part of the business that a lot of people don't realize you can do. Like, you can have fun with it, and it doesn't have to be such traditional ways. So I do love that you do that. Now, in Seattle's luxury market, It is very competitive. So
Very.
how do you stand out while staying authentic to who you are?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I mean, like, I know everybody's different. I am not comparing myself with someone else, like, that are in my market, that it feels like they're always the one that are getting the listings. I focus on me. Like, I am my biggest competitor. Like, so I focus on me, so which eliminates me putting energy out there. But you do you. But that's just, about me. And again, I think the consistency of trying to do the open houses locally. And then something that I've done recently too, I joined the Chamber of Commerce in my town, which, it is a luxury market. And, it's incredible the many like business owners that I have met through that. And we're starting to do some partnership and collaboration as well. Again, they are not realtors and they know other realtors. So some of them, clothing store, eyeglasses, and they're like, hey, they actually are. Some of them are giving me little perks to put on my closing gifts with my clients, which they love. So I'm already doing my own things, but now this is apping, facials. Like there's a med spa that like every time I'm like, hey, I have a close. Is there anything you want to give? They're giving like $200, like, facials for my clients, which they're like amazing. They're in love with that. So I'm so grateful that we're doing those kind of partnerships. And then I made the effort as well whenever I see someone's birthday or someone that, because I'm sorry, I don't give facials to everybody, but, but I just go also in the business and I purchase because they're helping me. Then now I want to help them. Or I get services myself and then I post it on social media, right? So then you're doing that. Again, I feel like luxury, it's just also trying to be in places where you're going to meet the people that have the money to afford it. It's just the reality. Do I help anybody that comes to me? Absolutely. I actually had someone that called me last week and they're like, hey, I know you're closing $1 million deals, but do you help people as well that can only, buy homes that is like 500? I'm like, absolutely. And I treat them equally. They all get nice gifts. They all get the best out of me. Because luxury, it's also an experience. It's not just a price point. So I tried for all my clients to feel like they're in a luxury first class experience because they will tell their other friends. Maybe that one person that is buying a $500,000 home knows someone that can afford the over $1 million homes, right? So it might not be coming from them directly, but it could come from their sphere and their experience of working, with you. So I definitely try to cater to places like that. And kind of as we share about the, adding the fun of things in real estate. What are the things that you enjoy doing? I mean, I already like expensive things. I'm not gonna even, so I go to a gym. It is probably like, I don't know, 4 times more than where my husband goes to his gym. But I love the experience also there for me. But I know that not everybody can be affording a $300, $400 monthly just to go to the gym. Yeah, sounds crazy, but the level of service that I also enjoy, I am meeting people that can afford that. So, so I did get like, a client from my gym, but I'm not there saying, oh, I'm a realtor. Again, why my social media for me is so important, because the moment I meet someone, I'm like, let's connect on social. They will know what I do. I don't need to tell them. And, and they will see my consistency, which validates what I already do.
Yeah, that's really smart. So for new agents, what is one thing that you wish more of the new agents understood about building a business in today's market? Because it's a little bit different than it was 4 or 5 years ago.
Absolutely. And, like when I started my in real estate, I was on the tail end of like, $200, $300,000 homes going above asking, that I feel like any agent could get a client because there are so many of them, right? Because of like the crazy low interest rate. So it was exciting that I saw that happening, but by the time I got my license, it was on the tail end of that. But I think, being new, obviously, I'll say the simple, the better. You're going to have so many things that you think you should be doing. You're seeing all what everybody else is doing. So if you can align with a coach, someone that is going to be helping you, because it can be overwhelming, especially if you don't know what you want to do. But I'll say the simple consistency is the better. Like even if, for example, I don't know, let's say, I think you always need to have an element of traditional and modern, mix within, like, obviously the modern is going to be anything social and whatnot that you can make
Right.
things easy and reach more people in that level. But I think there's still an element that if you like, you do like to do door knocking, or if you like to do cold calling, or if you want to do open houses, that you have to have that mix. So I say, even if you pick one thing, but you really dedicate your hours, and I feel like real estate for you to be, you can be like 3 hours a day, very effective 3 hours,
Yeah.
then like 8 hours, and you're so busy that you don't know what you're doing, and you're just like more just spinning around and not getting things done. So
Yeah.
can be 2 to 3 hours, but if you can be very specific with your activity, and not being distracted with our little friend, and then just like get that done, you will see your business flowing a lot faster. Even I get it, let's say like, Amanda, but I need to make calls, put your phone on do not disturb, and then obviously you need to hold yourself accountable. Nobody's going to be there breathing behind your neck, like to see if you
Yep.
did that many calls, or so just be honest with yourself. What can you handle? What are you gonna, say that you're going to do? And the best you can do is just like have a little daily to-do list, and just try to stick with like whatever it's the most important thing, even if you have 10 items, but what is the two most important things? Because once you get that done, you're going to feel so good that you did that,
Yeah.
that you probably
Mhm.
going to, your energy is going to be on the high, and you can finish everything else. And even if you don't finish everything else, the harder things you kind of got done, quicker and sooner.
Yeah, I think it's really important that people know like baby bites, right? Like you eat an elephant one bite at a time. I
Yep.
know that is really important. I think a lot of people get in, especially training new agents, we learn all the time that they do get overwhelmed until they try to find kind of their rhythm or their, the track that they want to go. So I think you hit the nail on the head with that. That's ideally what everybody should do when they're first getting, even neither of us are new, and I still want to be present in every single task that I'm doing. So I do think priority and, those baby steps that lead to the bigger goal are very important. So thank you for sharing
Of
that.
course.
And now, so my last question is, what is next for you? Both for your business and growing your team, and how do you see the Wolfpack playing a role in that journey in your future?
Yeah, no, that is a great question. I mean, I am doing both, right? I'm still very much in production as I am, growing my team across the US. And it's something that I love doing both. So I think right now, one of the more near future things, I'm just really working on my systems for the agents that are on my group. And, there's so many things that they can do it. And I'm just like kind of seeing what I'm already teaching and working with a lot of them in the last few years. And I would just really want to create like paths. That's some of the things that I'm currently actually working right now that I want to start in 2026. Is just like, what is the path that you want to do? If you're a brand new agent, if you're like in production and you want to increase your production, or you are interested in growing, your downline and, support other agents. So I just want to create those paths and systems, so that when someone comes in, they know it, it just helps them, right? I want to avoid the noise as much as possible so that you can narrow down, what's your path right now. And you can change paths anytime, but just to kind of, help out with that and close any answer that I repeat myself multiple times. How can I put that in a system that can help, an agent coming in? And then with my production, now that I have been full time for about 9 months, my goal, it's just, I thankfully I actually have already closed more deals that I've done last year since I've been full time. But the goal, it's just like I feel like at a bare minimum, and this is just my personal goal, I need to be able to do like 25 to 30 deals a year, and I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my goal from especially starting 2026. I want to achieve that icon level that we have within eXp, because for me that is just not only because all the awards that you get with it, but just also for a personal goal that is just like, I feel like that's me,
Right.
passing the line. I am a high producing agent. So that's some of the goals. And I mean, like being part of the Wolfpack, it's a forever thing. As you know, I'm very involved with our ladies, Wolfpack, calls that we have. So just continue to be pouring out on that and on the greater group as well. Anything that I can always do. Like if I can see that it can be an improvement, I do like volunteer myself to just like make sure things happen. And I think it's just like because I want to continue to see everybody evolving and growing. So I feel like the future is bright, and there's no limit, which is amazing. Like my goals every single year, it has been increasing or doubling in one way or another. And it's amazing to see, just that growth year over year.
Absolutely. Well, I am so excited for all of that for you. And I'm happy to grow right along with you. I'm excited to share or support you in your success. So I think that's going to be wonderful for you. And I know you're going to do it. You're the type of person where you set your mind on something and you make it happen for yourself. So, but Amanda, your story is such a great reminder that success doesn't require a perfect plan. It just requires consistency, the right systems, and willingness to take action. And I love how you've built your business rooted in community and mentorship as well as balance. And so for those of you watching, if this interview inspired you, make sure you comment your favorite takeaway, hit the like button, and subscribe for more stories like this. And if you're ready to find your footing in real estate or want to learn how to grow with a team that truly supports your goals, click the link in the description to book a Zoom call with Amanda and I, and let's help you take that big step. And for those of you who would like to follow along with Amanda, I have linked all of her profile links in the description below. So thank you again, Amanda, for coming. I really appreciate having you here.
Thank you. I'm super excited for all the things that is coming.
Yes, me too, girl, me too. So today I'm talking with an agent whose story perfectly captures what can happen when you combine tech savvy, strategy, and community. From part-time success to a full-time luxury agent in Seattle, Amanda is showing agents how to scale their business and their impact. And this conversation is packed with a ton of value.